What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? We are back with another episode, Five Session Podcast. We are in here and we got a great topic today. But first, we go into all of the topic and what we're going to do. We're just going to go around and check on everybody real quick. Got my guy, Big Ken, running the mic, running the board, running everything. So let's check on my boy Ken today. What's going on, my guy?
Hey man, I couldn't be better. I'm trying to learn about this topic for today because it's big news out there and it's big money behind it. So wherever the money is, that's what I want to. I want to have the knowledge behind that.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Got to know what's up. We got two special guests in the house tonight, and they are very well equipped to tell us about what we're going to talk about today in this real estate market, mortgage loans, real estate, just you name it. We're going to touch on it today, and I think this is going to be a great show, something that we actually looking forward to, and really just want to dive in real quick. But we got to let the lady, Miss Bernadette Ramirez, go first. Miss Ramirez, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. Tell us a little bit about yourself for a minute, and then we'll get over to my guy, Richie, over there.
Nice. So I've been a realtor for the last 14 years. Very successful here in the area that I live in. I live in Norwalk, work in Downey, so I've worked in all the areas surrounding me. And I'm on the mortgage side as well, so I've been doing that for the last 2 years and had some good success with that also.
Awesome. That is great to hear. So she comes well equipped in her knowledge base, in her profession, and that's going to benefit the audience. It's going to benefit us as well. And we're looking forward to having that. My man, Young Rich, what's going on, sir? Glad to have you on today, my man. How's everything going with you?
Benji, you know me. I do my best to stay out of trouble. So as long as I'm doing that, I'm good.
Well, I mean, I don't know about me staying out of trouble. I don't know about that part, but you do it better than I do. How's everything been with you, man? How's everything? I know you got the family and got everything. How's everything going? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I've got a 15-month-old daughter, which keeps us busy, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's awesome. And a little bit about myself. I always joke that I grew up in the mortgage industry. I've learned more at the dinner table than some people will their entire career. My father happens to be our senior vice president of retail at our company. And I grew up in this business and have seen it. And even through the '08 crash, and I've been very heavily involved because oftentimes as we do, we come home with the work and I'd hear the phone calls. So I've been personally doing loans for about 8 years now. And that's my backstory.
Love it, man. Love it. So tonight we have some very well-equipped people to give us some information on the subject. Of course, one of the hottest topics, we're not going to start there first, but one of the hottest topic has been the new B of A loan. So we're going to dive into that. We also kind of just want to dive in a little bit about the current market as it stands, and then just kind of give the people out there some general information to the novice from the person who doesn't know much about real estate. And of course, to those who do know, we kind of want to dive into all of those aspects and try to explain it to the people like we're 2-year-olds and make it happen tonight. All right. So let's just kind of dive right in. And let me just ask first off the top, we'll start with Ms. Ramirez. Where does the mortgage industry stand right now in your eyes?
That's a loaded question, but it's a good one. So the mortgage industry right now is stabilizing itself, I believe.
Okay.
So we went from being super, super busy to finding us in a recession to the Feds hiking up the rates very, very drastically in a short amount of time. So it hurt some people, but then it helped some people. It hurt people because some people were not able to qualify for their mortgage loan after all, so they kind of fell off. But the people that were qualified and ready and were standing in line with these bunches of people at open house when there was 50, 60, 70 people don't have that anymore.
So it kind of dissipated a little bit because we were at a point where you go and you're looking for a house, and it's not just one, two, or three people. You're looking at a barrage of people trying to buy the one house. So
Yeah.
that kind of changed a little bit.
That definitely changed. You went from having maybe, I'll just use a low number, 20 bidders per property, to now having maybe 4 or 5 good bidders per property. So for the buyer, it's very, very useful where it's at right now, because they're getting not only that, now they're getting closing costs again. That was one thing that was not heard of in the last probably 14 months.
Okay.
They're getting able to have their termite inspection done. That was something that was waived. So it helped the buyer in some ways, but in a lot of ways it did hurt too. So like I said, we're kind of just like in a stabilization period right now.
Okay. And it's stabilizing and getting better. Okay. So, Richie, talk to us a little bit about somewhat the same question. Where do you think the mortgage industry is right now, so to speak?
I agree with her 100%. It's definitely stabilized. We're in a much healthier market, I believe. And everyone's kind of saying, oh, home prices are dropping. Well, yes, that's true. You are seeing price cuts, but that's not how we measure appreciation gains of someone's home. We look at it year over year, and year over year, we're still up. So just because you're seeing a home price cut, don't let that alarm you. If you're actually in the market and want to buy, go for those home price cuts, because that is an advantage to you. They've cut the price down, and anymore, what they're predicting is anytime a recession happens, once we're coming out of it, mortgage rates will start to drop.
Right.
And what that does is that pushes more buyers into the market. So Bernadette's right. Right now, it's not as competitive. You have a better chance of getting your offer accepted.
Right.
Yes, you're at a little bit of a higher rate, but compared to what? Now, in 2023, when the rates do drop, if you were to purchase now, you can always refinance into that lower rate and enjoy the appreciation gains. But if you sit on the fence and wait, you run that risk of missing out on $20,000, $30,000 worth of appreciation.
A difference, right?
And now,
So,
like you said, you're one of 10 offers now.
so then that leads me into kind of this question, so to speak. How important is interest rate and you jumping in at a particular time? How important, or I wouldn't say how important, but because we know it's important, but money wise, let's do it like that. How you could save loads of money by getting a lower interest rate, correct?
Correct. But on average, people stay in a single mortgage 5 to 7 years. They're
Right.
not staying there for the full 30. So that what I always tell my clients is, okay, a little bit higher of a rate with the wrong mortgage strategy can cost you a lot more than a little bit higher of a rate and the right mortgage strategy. We want to understand your goals. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? Once we have a full understanding of that, well, knowing you're going into a recession right now, which we're in, and rates are going to drop, okay, let's say you take a little bit of a higher rate, get a rebate. Well, guess what? You're just going to refinance out of it anyway. So
Right.
that's how I'd answer that.
Right.
All right, Bernadette, same thing, that interest rate, encouraging to tell someone, hey, get in right now or wait a little bit? Or is it always the concept, hey, get it when you can because you never know when rates can change?
I think it's kind of get it when you can, because you never know when rates are going to change. But a big factor also is your purchase price, right?
Right.
So even if the rates were where they were 3 months ago, people are overbidding on the property.
Right.
So where you're
By 30, 40, and $50,000 over value, right?
Yeah, so somebody that's going to pay, I'll just say 530 right now at a 5.5%, I'll just say, would be paying maybe 580 at a 4%. So it still kind of levels itself out. If it's not the interest rate that's going to be high, then the purchase price is going to be high. So
Right.
for me, that's where I feel like it leveled itself out. But yeah, if you're ready, you should go for it, because piggybacking to where there's not that much competition right now.
Right. And I think that's big.
I got a quick question. So when we hear this term commonly use these two terms, a buyer's market, seller's market. So are you saying right now this is a buyer's market?
So it's turning back into a buyer's market. And the reason being is because they're able to ask for all of the things that they weren't able to ask for a year and a half ago. And that would be termite inspection. But the big thing is the appraisal contingency. So a lot of people were waiving their appraisal contingency because they were overbidding so high. So let's just say if the house was going for 515 and I said I want to pay 545 on it, but the house appraised at 515, I was responsible for paying that huge gap of 30,000 to make it fit. Now
Right.
you can ask for the appraisal contingency. So once you go into a purchase, if you do go in overpriced and the appraisal comes back, you can go and negotiate, bring the price back down, and then you're at fair market value and not paying some inflated price that you shouldn't even be touching it all. So that's why it's a buyer's market, because it's coming back down to normal again. When it's a
Right.
seller's market, the buyers aren't asking for anything, no termite, no inspection, no repairs, nothing. They're just going in, throwing the big bucks, and the seller's taking it as easy as they can. So right now we're kind of transitioning back into a buyer's market, definitely.
Okay, Rich, same thing, that buyer's market. I saw you shake your head. Yeah.
As a loan
Buyer's market
officer,
for sure right now,
I love
right?
a buyer's market, right? I tell them, let's get seller credits, have the seller pay some of your closing costs. So that's just, you talk to the expert and they'll tell you what's a reasonable ask. But I definitely think now is the time for a buyer to, like Bernadette said, ask for certain things, because you don't get what you don't ask for, A, and B, work with a professional real estate agent, someone like Bernadette, who can also say, all right, we're asking too much, and fine tune and pretty up that offer so it's beneficial to everybody.
Right. I love to hear that, because some of the things that the average person might not think of because they're a novice, they're thinking, well, you know what? I don't have this, but then when you consider I don't have to pay termite, I don't have to pay closing costs. On an average, what would a price or an amount look like when you consider paying the termite, closing costs, and all of the other things that probably weren't for you? What would you say that cost would typically come out to in a ballpark figure?
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding your question. Are you asking, like, what is if what is the all-in cash to close? Is that what you're asking?
Right, so to speak. So for example, market was high. People were paying 30, $40,000, $50,000 plus, but they weren't paying termite, closing costs, things of that nature. But now at this point,
Mhm.
those things are you are buyers are having to pay that correctly, right?
Well, that really varies, because then you factor in, and like you said, we'll get into the B of A program, but you've got down payment assistance and different options
There you
even
go.
back then to kind of ease that cost of obtaining a home. Um, but the best I can answer your question is, for example, we've got someone, we just put an offer in today. We're asking for $5,000 seller credit
Mhm.
to buy the interest rate down to get the payment where he's comfortable.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're doing now. So yeah, you could, from what it was back then, you can cut down your costs. Yeah, on an average of 5 to 7 grand, I'm seeing as far as in seller credits.
Mhm.
And that sounds great for that sounds like a good percentage of money for a person that's looking to purchase maybe for the first time, right?
Oh, it's huge. And my one of my favorites, my brother's in the military. My favorites is a VA loan. If you have a VA loan, 100% financing, and you get seller credits, you can walk in with almost no money.
Mhm.
Right.
So that's I love the VA program.
Okay, that which was going to lead me into my next question. Talk to us a little bit about some of the programs that are available that people might not be aware of. You mentioned the VA loan, but I know there's some FHA loans. There's some there's some conventional, non-conventional loans. There's other types of loans out there. Talk to us a little bit about some of the loans that are available to the common person, so to speak.
So I could take this full hour and dive into just one program. So I'll just give you a real brief overview. Yeah, so you've got down payment assistance, which will range from 3.5, which is the minimum down payment for FHA, up to 5% to help cover some of those closing costs. And we've also, like you said, you got FHA, which is 3.5% down. You've got conventional loans, which go as little as 3% down. VA loans, we've got loans specifically for investors. What we do on investment loans is we get an appraisal, and on that appraisal, we get a rent schedule to tell us what the rent is. If the rent will cover your mortgage payment, boom. But there are caveats, like you got to bring in 20 to 25% down. We've got bank statement loans for self-employed. So if you're a self-employed person, oftentimes you're going to write off a lot on your taxes, which income is a huge part in what you qualify for. What we're able to do is get 12 to 24 months of your bank statements, take in the deposits, look at some of your expenses, and calculate an income that way, which is huge for self-employed people. And we've got jumbos. If you're over, which guess what just happened? Conventional loan limits were raised to 715,000 now from 647. But if you're above that range, you have to go into jumbo loan. So yeah,
Right.
that's just a brief overview of a lot of what we offer.
And that there's those things are out there for people who may not know about those. So again, we have some very credible people on today.
I got a question. I got a program that I know is here in Texas, and I don't know if you all can speak to it. The Teacher Next Door program. They have other programs similar to that. So if either one of you or both of you all would like to say something about that program, because I know a lot of people who with me, my first degree was in education, so I have a lot of teacher friends, so they were able to benefit from that program. But if you could talk about that for a second.
Rich, go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't specifically, Texas, I don't do a lot of business there, so I don't know specifically about that program. But I will say, and correct me if I'm wrong, this program sounds like a lot of what we do. Like if you're a first responder, you can receive up to $1,000 credit.
Right.
We've got ones for doctors where if you're like a nurse or doctor and you've got a bunch of student loans, well, we don't have to count that, which could be huge for them. And I'm assuming probably like what you're talking about, it's probably a down payment assistance program where they offer, they're like a grant or a repayable second on your home just to kind of get your foot in the door. Because realistically, you need to save up for a while if you're not going to use one of these down payment assistance programs. And that's where you seek the advice of an expert. And if you can't afford it now, it's never a no. It's okay. What steps do we need to put in place to make it happen? Because a lot of people don't realize they do qualify. You just
Right.
need to talk to an expert.
So I like that. It's never a no. You just need to know where you are in that space, correct?
Correct. And if you just do a Google research on, how did 90% of millionaires make their money, it's real estate. That's how they
Right.
made their money. And even if you're not buying your dream home today, well, damn it, buy a $200,000 manufactured home and let that appreciate. Then we'll sell it 5 years down the line and upgrade. And that's how you continue to build that wealth. And what we preach is buy and hold. So if you're able to buy something within your means, hold on to it, rent it out, save up for a new down payment, move. Now you've got rental income from this place. Do that, repeat it. And as much as you can, buy property and make sure you get cash flow positive. And that's how you get guys like, look him up, Grant Cardone, a multimillionaire. That's all he does.
And I think that's important because a lot of people, I think, especially in certain areas, they automatically assume no. So this is a question I wanted to ask, and Bernadette, you can ask this answer this as well. But the difference between pre-approved and pre-qualified, those are two different things. Talk to us about those.
Well, pre-approved is when we're kind of just looking at your paperwork and doing the calculations. When we do more of a pre-qualification, which is goes to underwriters, kind of underwritten, is where we see that you can actually qualify for the loan, that's when you're a stronger candidate for any offer that you're going to put out. Most sellers
Right.
want to see that you're desk underwritten for sure.
So what makes you a strong candidate compared to not a strong candidate? Credit score. What are some of the? Can I get a house without a good credit score? What
With
are
Bank
what
of
are, what
America,
are
you
those
can
factors?
now.
Huh?
So with Bank of America, you can do that now. So, when an offer is presented to a seller, they're going to look at the offers, and usually, of course, they're going to go with the higher FICO score. They're going to go with the higher down payment, and who can close the fastest and who's asking the least. So that can kind of go a lot of different ways, to be
Right.
honest with you.
Rich, I know you've seen some crazy approvals, non-approvals. Talk to us about that a little bit in that vein.
Yeah, so as far as getting offers accepted, we do that. So what we call is a TBD underwrite. We'll submit your loan to an underwriter before you even put an offer on the property. And what that does is, let's say you're using an FHA loan, if you're competing against a conventional loan, yeah, they're more privy to take that conventional loan because typically people are putting more down on a conventional.
Right.
But how we make you more competitive is I say, all right, well, they're asking for 30 days to close. I'll close this loan. We'll close escrow in 15 days. So
Okay.
you can wait 30 days, or I'm going to get this done in 15 days. And I can say that with confidence, knowing they've already been approved by an underwriter. All I have to do is we order the appraisal on a rush, get that back, submit it back for your clear to close from the underwriter, and then we schedule a time for you to sign your loan docs. So that's
And and get it in, and it's kind of it sounds simple as we're talking about it right now, because you guys are embedded in it and understand it to a degree, and it sounds simple, but it's not as hard of a process as many people make it out to be. Would you guys agree with that?
oh yeah, oh yeah, and we'll go as low as a 560 score. So you can have as low as a 560 credit score, and I can still get you a loan. Now that
Right.
comes with caveats. You might have to have a little bit of higher of a rate, but again, it's like we were talking about: get in when you can and enjoy those appreciation gains.
Yeah, because you say 560, and it's like, gosh. So because the ultimate goal is to get you into a home, correct?
Correct. And we team up with credit repair experts who are monitored by HUD. So you can know going to this person to help with your credit is going to have your best interest at heart. I've been working with the same credit repair company for 8 years. So then they have a proven track record. So again, it's never a no. All right. So if you're below that, here's some steps we can put in place to get you above. Let's get you as high as we can, as soon as we can, to help with certain things like getting a better rate.
So just getting it started. And what would you say is the common thing that people don't want to get started, or what the common fear? What do you think is the most common fear when it comes to buying a home in your expertise? Bernadette first, and then we'll go to Rich.
Well, I think a common fear mostly is not being able to afford the neighborhood that they really want to be in
Okay.
because of their children, school district, of course, placement of their work and things like that. Um, Other than that, I think that's probably what keeps people from even starting. But as Richard said before, you got to start somewhere to continue your stepping stone so you can get to your ideal house sooner or later. But I think the biggest factor is hearing a no, to be honest with you. So
Right.
if they do hear a no and we encounter that, like he said earlier, there's always a way to get them to where we want them to be. We just have to start mapping their way there. And once we get there, then, sky's the limit. But I
Right.
think probably the no.
Right.
That's where we come into place. We counsel them, we talk to them, we let them know what they can do to get where they need to go. And then we build confidence in them and then we go from there.
Rich, same question, because I'm because you've already said it's never a no. So that's not the mentality we want to go in. No, we want to get you in the house. What would you say is the most common fear there?
Yeah, Bernadette hit it on the head. It's the fear of rejection. Again, when something's unknown, you don't want to dive in and get rejected, and that's why I say it's never a no. We will put in place steps to get you into a position where you can buy a home. And like she said, it might not be that dream home, but you have to start somewhere.
Right.
You don't just start a company tonight and tomorrow you're making millions. That's not how life works. So as long as you get in and start, don't fear that rejection. Call an expert that knows what they're doing. And again, we'll get into B of A, but
Yeah.
you call some of these big institutions like Chase, B of A, you're getting Mike out in Detroit, who you're just a number to him. He doesn't care about your goals and doesn't care. He's just got to get you in and get you out.
Yeah.
So that's where if you can really work with a local expert, that's the ultimate way to go.
I got a question too. So we're talking we keep saying buying a house, but I want to backtrack just a little bit. And can we talk about the process of buying a house, like the basic bare bones process of, you know, coming to you saying, hey, I want a house. What do I need to do if I'm that person and I want to buy a house? Where do I even start? Bernadette.
Well, it starts, number one, of course, with the good idea of wanting to do that. And then you need to talk to your mortgage originator. That's where actually the whole thing should start, is with the lender. Everybody always goes to the realtor first, right? Which is great because we're here to help and give advice, but we always hand them back to the lender. So
Right.
once they go to the lender, of course, we take all their financials and we see what they can qualify for. And then once we get them determined that they're able to buy, then the realtor comes into play and everybody sits down together. And then we talk about what the family is actually looking for. Once the realtor finds out what the family's looking for, then the realtor takes them out to go look for the properties, right? So once we look at them, of course, that's when we start to bid, and that's when the realtor and the lender really start to work closely together, so that we make sure that we can close when we're supposed to, and we can deliver what we're promised when we do give the offer. So that's pretty much the steps. But once we get into the house and once they accept our offer is when everything really starts to happen, because that's when the inspections start coming into play. We start to find out how the house looks, how is it performing, is it functioning to where we need it to function. And once we find out how it's functioning, then we ask for credits. Once we get those credits or we don't, the buyer decides if they want to stay. And then if they do want to stay and we can negotiate everything and everybody's happy, then we go on to the close. So I can explain it. It sounds really easy, but along all that, there's a lot of emotions that come into play just as
Right.
well. And that's why you really have to have a team that you trust, because like he said earlier, once you do work with the bigger institutions, you do become a number. But when you work with a smaller brokerage, we can only handle so many people at one time because only one person can manage so many people at one time. So
Right.
we're able to actually pay attention to our clients, take our phone calls at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night when they're stressing out because they just got their inspection and the water heater looks like it's going to fall apart. So, it's a long road, but if you have the right team, those 45 days, because that's all it should take from the beginning to the end, will go really fast and really
So I know that there are some anxieties there. So I'm sure you guys get the crazy calls, hey, you know what? When's this? When's that? But Rich, you mentioned something. You mentioned it can get it closed in 15 days. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I'm sure for the person that has that high anxiety and you tell them, I can get this to you in 15 days instead of 30 or get it closed, I'm sure that is like a game changer. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh, it's huge, and selfishly, it puts my mind at peace on how we do it, because the underwriter is the ultimate say so on the approval of your loan. So I can look at all of your documentation, but I'm making this pretty picture for another human being who's got their own thoughts and is going to be
Right.
going through your file. So if I could, before you even go shopping, I tell people, don't look at Zillow yet, because that home you really want might not be there tomorrow. So give me some time here. Give me a couple days. I'm going to get you approved by an underwriter. Then you can go with your agent and start looking. And by doing that, we clear what's called conditions. A lot of times an underwriter will look at your file and say, okay, I need a couple more things from the client. We clear all that up front. So all we have to do is get the appraisal in and submit you for what's called a clear to close. That's the final stamp of approval. So that's how we're able to get it done so fast. And yeah, we just closed one the other day, 13 days from start to finish.
Wow. Now see, now that's now that's big time right there.
And it
To be
comes from
able to
having a
close
good
in
team,
13.
and it comes from having a good team behind me as well. And that's another big factor, is like Bernard said, I can't do it all myself. You have to have an awesome team behind you, and we do. So
I agree. I agree. Top notch, top of the chain, top of the food chain, sir. So definitely know that some of these anxieties can be cured, helped, because if you're out there and you're looking to purchase, you have to know that there's actual help. There's not. It's not as chaotic as some people make it seem. It can actually be simplified for you, and you can actually get into a nice home. Of course, your percentage, your rates, we talked about that. getting the house that you may not want at the beginning, but getting into something that matters. I think that scares a lot of people away as well, because you go in and you say, hey, I was looking at $500,000 house, but I'm only approved for 300. How often does that happen? And then do clients be like, well, I want to back out because I can't get the house I want? How often does that happen?
It does happen, but again, it's like we create a budget, right? You can go and rent somewhere, but now it's like you're tied to that rent payment. You're not able to take people, you can't go out to dinner because all your money is going towards that. And that's where we really do a deep dive and we'll show them, okay, well, yeah, this $500,000 house, here's the payment for that. It's not really feasible. Let's create a budget where we can, while you can pay your mortgage, also set some money aside so we can start investing in the future. And that's going to come from appreciating in the home you're buying right now and being able to rent that out or sell it. So it's like I told you before, you have to start somewhere. And if I didn't believe in what I'm telling you guys, I wouldn't do it. I've been doing it for 8 years and it's a proven track record.
Right.
Like I told you, we were talking backstage. I'm moving to Idaho, but I'm not selling my home. I'm going to put renters in here. They're going to pay my mortgage, and I'm going to go buy something up there because now I'm going to be positive cash flow here. And imagine having 10 of those.
Yep.
That's
Right.
where you can really start to get some traction.
And it takes some time to build to that process, to get there, to make it happen. But getting in and getting started is very, very, very critical. I certainly can attest to that. I think that's what most people kind of miss out on the process. They want what they want instantly, and then they don't realize, you know what, take a little bit of time and get what you want and build to what you want. And I think that's key.
Yeah, and
Got
that's,
a question. Go ahead, Rich. Go ahead,
yeah,
Rich.
just, yeah, I mean, a lot of things people want that instant gratification, and I understand that we all do, but yeah, it's like we talked about. And you should see some of these homes. They're very beautiful at a reasonable price. Sometimes you just kind of have to go to certain cities, and I'm not saying you have to go to some rundown area, but that's where you see Bernadette or myself, and I'll show you. There's some beautiful homes still in the $300,000 range. They're just not in your main hubs.
Right.
So, well, there are some sacrifices you have to make. And to hit your other point, the stresses and the worries, I've noticed that clear and consistent communication puts that all at ease.
Right.
So if I'm following up with you on a daily basis saying, here's what I'm going to get done today. And at the end of the day, I tell you even if I didn't get done, I'm going to tell you that. So you constantly know where you're at in the process. If you have to pick up the phone and track down your lender, I might not be the right one, but you got the wrong one.
Hold on. Rich, say that again. Say that again.
I'm telling you, if you have to pick up the phone and try to get a hold of your lender and can't get a hold of them, I might not be the right lender, but you got the wrong one.
That is a fact. You should be able to reach out to him and get to him.
Well, we have one question, and I have another comment right quick. I always hear this saying all the time: the most important thing in real estate is location, location, location. And it's kind of what you all have been talking about, where we have this thing in our mind where we have this idea of where we want to live, where we want to bring our children up, where where the good schools are, and those are generally high, like highly sought after locations. So the location drives up the price of the house, because you can have a house. And I laughed because about a month or two ago, I came to California, and me being from Texas, we just rode around certain neighborhoods, and we used, I think, the Zillow app or something. We were just riding and looking at prices of the houses, and we were just comparing them to Texas prices. We were like, that square footage for that much? Wow. That is crazy. So, the location means a lot for housing and for real estate in general. So can you talk about the difference in real estate, maybe in California or the different parts of California versus somewhere like a Texas or another area?
Well, So if you're in a metropolitan area like for Los Angeles, right? So the closer you are to the city, the more expensive the houses can get depending on the neighborhoods, right?
Right.
But when you go further out, they're a lot less. But what's happening, or what I'm seeing anyways, is the 30 somethings are all moving east of us to the Inland Empire. So
Mhm.
although the prices in this general area might be expensive, they're going to catch up if you have to move 40 miles out. They're going to, because everybody has to move that way in order to afford it. So
Right.
right now, it does matter where you're at, but where you're going to be is going to gain equity no matter what. And more people are moving out to the areas, like he had said. Maybe you can't buy your ideal house here, but we can show you where there's a great one for $300,000. You just
Right.
got to move there and wait for the equity to catch up with you. So location does matter, but everywhere is going to end up gaining equity and catching up to the generalized areas, anyways. I think so, because
Right.
we're oversaturated here in these areas.
Right.
So people can't even buy here, so they have to move out. So people are going to have to start moving out to the areas that are not so congested. So right now the area might be high, but the lower areas will be in 20 years too, for sure.
Right. And and again, it's about getting into your place and getting in there so you can get the process started to building wealth. So that matters a ton.
Okay. And I also want to talk about refi. We had a question, and let's see, you put the question up there. Boom. Let's see. We got questions coming in. Okay. What is a reasonable time frame for homeowners to look at refinancing a home loan from the original loan?
Yeah,
I
I
think
can
that's
answer
a
that.
basic question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's going to vary. And what to answer that directly is we won't know until we look at your current situation. So I can dive into, okay, what's your current rate? And there's two different refinances we can do. It's called a rate and term, where literally all we're doing is lowering your interest rate to help out with your payment and the interest you're paying over the life of the loan. We also have what's called a cash out refinance. If
Mhm.
you are below an 80% LTV, you can qualify to take some equity out of your home and put cash in your pocket. And whether you want to pay off debt or put the awning in the backyard, upgrade the kitchen, that's what a lot of people do with cash out. So it really will take looking into what your current situation is. And again, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? And right now, you don't see as many refinances because rates are
Rates
up
are high.
where they're
Right.
up. But again, the people that are buying right now, or they're going to benefit from a refinances next year in 2023 when the rates come down.
Now that's a good point to mention because at one point rates were at what 2.5, 3%. What are we looking at right now with rates, so to speak?
You're looking at, I would say, a range from, and again, each loan has a different rate.
Has
So I'm
different,
just
right?
giving you a mortgage average of the best qualified borrower, and then we got the other spectrum. You're looking at an average of probably 6.125 as of today.
Right.
Last week we were at 2 weeks ago we were at like 5.75. So they've kind of trickled up since then, but it's kind of having a yo-yo effect right now. We're bouncing in between that range.
Right. And that's the difference. The 6% to a 3%. That's the difference of what $300,000, or what we're looking at price numbers wise with that. When you say that for a person trying to buy that home,
That was pretty good math. Yeah, it's around 250, 300. So if let's look at a buyer that was doing 3% in 2020, let's say, is now comparable to um, trying to buy a $550,000 house.
right. Right. And that's the difference between your rates there and the reason why if you do get in, understanding that you do want to get to the place to where you can refi, because that's important. You're knocking off hundreds of thousands of dollars on your potential loan. And remember, when you get a loan for $500,000 and you're paying a 3% on that compared to a 6, that number, your numbers are going up. So getting that lower refi interest rate is very, very, very critical for you. So
Well,
Getting that good credit score though, because right, you did mention that someone your most qualified buyer is getting a lower interest rate already.
well, yeah, I think from an investor's standpoint, uh, they're going to feel more comfortable with their money going to somebody that has the higher credit score, where the lower credit score, yeah, they want to charge a little bit more and collect more interest off it. So
Right.
that's when you got what's called the secondary market or mortgage-backed securities is what kind of determines our rates.
Right.
Okay. And before we get off of the refi topic, this is probably random. I'm a avid viewer of Love It or List It. um, I always see people, you have that decision of, do I buy a new house or do I just, repair the one I have and, live in it versus, buying something new, because the money, it always ends up being about the dollar figure. And you hear them going back and forth about $5,000-$10,000, which doesn't seem like a lot for somebody buying, some of those houses on there, they're buying like $800,000 house.
Right.
And you're going back and forth about $10,000, but at the end of the day, it means something, that money. So do you have issues, or do you have any stories about people who come to you because you deal with loans, Rich, about refi loans and things of that nature for people who want to redo their house, redo their current home?
Yeah, absolutely. And because it's sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want to deplete all my savings to upgrade the kitchen.
Right.
But they think of it as this way. Well, I'm going to upgrade it now. So in the case of 10 years, I want to sell. It's more modern because people that are in the market are attracted to a certain style. They don't want to buy the orange carpet. They want the new hardwood floors. So sometimes it pays its inequity.
But you have no orange carpet in your house.
Yeah.
Not if you got a girlfriend or a woman, I can tell you that.
Orange carpet.
Well, I know Bernadette doesn't want to hear anybody say anything really about a refi because she wants them to come to her and buy.
I'm sorry, say that again. I couldn't hear you.
I said Bernadette wants them to come to her to buy a new home. So if you were Love It or List It, you know what I'm saying? I forget her name, but you would be, you know what I'm saying, the lady. You would be the guy, and he's actually pursuing a new house versus trying to refi and fix the old house.
So are you basically asking me if I would advise somebody to buy a fixer-upper or get one that's already ready to go?
Well, for you, with what you do, what do you think about fixer-uppers? Let's talk about that for a second, because I'm pretty sure somebody's looking at the show that might have a house and it might be looking to sell. So what do they need to do?
So, well, going back to your question, if somebody's going to ask me, should I leave my house to go buy a new house because I don't want to fix my kitchen, then I would advise them to do the same thing that Richard said to do. Fix it now, and then when you're ready to sell it, sell it. But when I'm out taking people to look for houses and they want to buy the house that's maybe $40,000 less than one that's already ready to go, it just depends on if they have the time and if they want to live through the remodel. Not only that, how much is it going to cost them to go and get all the materials and get a second loan and then hire the crew to do all that? So I think it's better just to buy one that's remodeled to your taste if you can afford to do so.
Turnkey, so to speak, right?
If you can, yeah.
I think that's the term there we use, getting that turnkey property so you don't have to do much in it. And I think sometimes that's that's a good thing and a bad thing considering how people's nerves work. You want that turnkey because you want it to be instant, get it out of the way, no problems, no issues. We got the tankless water heater. We got all of these things going, and some people are like, yes, I want that. And some people, they do want to fix that house up because maybe it stayed in the family. What would you say to that? Someone who has a property that's in the family, should they sell it? Keep it in the family? What would you recommend?
Well, that's a loaded question. It just depends on how emotionally connected they are to the property.
Right.
They don't like it, they're going to let it go. They don't care. They just want their money, right?
Right. Like, just give me my money. I want out of here. I don't want this anymore. Right.
But no, if they want to totally stay there, I would encourage them to contact myself as a lender or Richard as a lender and pull the equity out of the property and fix it. Definitely. And stay.
Okay.
I would agree. Keep that house in the keep that house in the family as you
Keep the
can.
house, and not only that, like he was saying earlier, it's just a building stone to go on to the next. So fix this one, gain some equity, and if you want to go somewhere else, then go somewhere else and pull from there. But if you're there and you have equity, fix it if you love the neighborhood. If you don't like it, then it's time to go. But if you do, put your equity and fix that house up for sure. I never encourage my people to sell. I do encourage them to sell, but to hold and to sell. Like he was saying, keep this home, and then build up your real estate profile and go to the next property.
Richard just mentioned that because he's moving, so he's not getting rid of his home. He's going to keep his home, rent it out, and then move somewhere else and buy. Now, Rich, price-wise, I'm sure there's a huge difference price-wise from Idaho to California, correct?
You would be surprised. So,
okay. Talk to us a little bit about that, because we did mention location, but I know Idaho looks really beautiful.
Yeah, and there's a different. I mean, if you go, and it's all beautiful. So this isn't a knock on Southern Idaho, but if you go a little bit more south, it's more of the prices aren't as expensive. But specifically in this Coeur d'Alene area, it seems to be a hot hub, and they can justify those prices because so many people are moving there and buying there.
Right.
And it's even Southern Idaho. It's gone up a lot. It's very comparable again. But where I'm at here in Southern California, it's almost damn the same up in Northern Idaho and Coeur d'Alene.
Compared to where? Right. Hey, the real estate market was hot, been hot. It'll always be hot. This is something that real estate will just be the thing. Getting a piece of the earth, getting land, getting a house. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be here forever. So it's something we definitely need to have these continued discussions on. Let's transition real quick into.
Hold on, right quick.
Go ahead.
Hold on, we got another question that came through. Mike Hendricks wants to know what is y'all's take on manufactured homes?
Oh, okay.
Manufactured homes. This would go with Bernadette.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on if it's attached to the land or not. Because if it's attached to the land, it ends up getting more appreciation in the long run, and it's easier to resell. If it's not attached, then it's usually in a mobile home park, and you never own the land beneath you. You only land that motorhome only. Right. So the manufactured home, it's a good thing. If you need to do it, it's fine. But if you do, I would suggest attaching it to the land if you buy one.
I know Rich mentioned it earlier. If you're just trying to get that start, and that's where you need to start, find something nice, right, Rich?
Yeah, and that, Bern, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a huge factor, and you'd be surprised at look at some of these manufactured. Again, go on Zillow and look at some of these manufactured homes. They're really nice. I mean, some of these newer ones they're putting out, sometimes you can't even tell. I mean, from the outside, yeah, you can kind of see the structure, but from the inside, it looks like your modern day newly built home. They're very beautiful.
Right.
And you get the benefit of a much lower sales price. But again, I mean, just from 2020, there's a certain manufactured home that is a couple miles down the road from me. We were all watching it because it sold 80 grand over ask price back in 2020. And we're like, oh, that's crazy. I don't, sure enough, they're another 100 grand up. So they've made their money back plus some. So it depends on certain markets, like Ken was saying. In Texas, that's where you really want to stick with your local market expert because they're going to understand it the best. But manufactured homes are a great option.
Right. I mean, hey, if that's where you have to get your start at, get your start there. And we just heard some numbers. Rich threw some numbers out there. They appreciate it up pretty significantly. So don't look at it as a down thing. That if that's where you have to start to make your money, look at it in this way. I know people who started as janitors, and they were married. Their wife worked. They worked, and they worked as janitors or McDonald's, and they bought their first home, not in the best looking neighborhood, but they fixed it up. They sold it. And now they've moved on to the next phase. And that was years ago. I have a friend of mine who was from El Salvador. and him and his wife both started at working at fast food restaurants. And now they own several homes because they bought their first home when it was in the 200,000s, and now that they sold that house for 400 plus thousand dollars, and now they've moved on to more properties. So it's very, very, very attainable. You just have to get with the right people to give you the right vision and the right understanding, and they'll be able to assist you. And we have two of them on the show tonight that can get you where you need to go. So it's certainly feasible.
Well,
Okay,
if I could,
no, go ahead, Richie.
just a quick point, because I hear the devil's advocate in my head, and you see all the negative headlines and everything that's how they get people to view and click on their sites is negative. And it gets you interacted with it, and everybody's talking about mortgage crash, don't buy. If banks like Bank of America and companies like Open Door, if they're making programs like that and Open Door is buying up entire neighborhoods, maybe they're onto something. Maybe they understand that home prices are going to continue to go up and the market's not going to crash.
Yeah.
Right.
2008 was an anomaly. Those were bad loans made.
Yeah.
Now we have certain criteria we have to adhere to, and people can afford those homes.
Mhm.
So that's a completely separate thing from what we're dealing with now. It's a completely different market. Like I
Right.
said, they wouldn't be doing this if they didn't think home prices were going to continue to go up in 2023, 24. They know it's going to happen. That's why they're buying up entire neighborhoods.
Makes sense. Makes sense, because there's definitely money to be made out there still. Okay, so with that said, Ken, you got another question there, or
We got questions rolling in. So
okay, let's go to the fan questions before we go to the B of A loan.
yeah,
All
because
right.
we have a very interesting question here. I never thought about this, but we have a question about tiny homes. Do you see any progress being made in tiny houses? Boxable has a lot of orders. Let's talk about tiny houses. I've been seeing that a lot.
Gosh,
It's a new thing. Anything that's a new thing and creates a fad is going to do very well. And a lot of people like that kind of living. Like my daughter, she's a hippie, right? So she's totally into tiny house living because it allows people that want to live off the grid, that want to be predominantly outdoors, and maybe want to move somewhere like to Idaho and live on their parents' farm way acres back. So I
yeah.
think that's a really, really good market. I would buy them and Airbnb them out.
Hey, makes sense, right? Now that's California made that legal, correct, just as of recently, right? Within a year or so, if I'm not mistaken.
Are you talking about like the additional units and things like that?
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Yes, so that's something, even if you're able to put that tiny house in your backyard or whatnot,
yeah.
and you're able to charge rent, or it becomes legal for you to do so.
Oh yeah, they're great. I think they're great, and they're super cute too.
Right.
Ooh.
Makes sense. Go ahead, Ken, with the rest of those. Shoot us those questions there.
Okay, so we had a an additional question for the manufacturer house. The gentleman was asking, so what you're suggesting with the manufacturer house is that if the land can be bought, buy the land as well, and then build on it, and then make sure you anchor the manufacturer house down to the land.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, are there any instances where the owner does not want to sell the land, and how does that work? If you buy a manufactured home on, let's say, a property, and the owner, so to speak, doesn't want to sell the land, has that ever occurred? Has that ever happened before as well?
That would normally be in like a motorhome park.
Okay.
Yeah, because when
We
you go
can't lend
into
on
it, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to tell you, yeah, we can't, we're not able to lend on that personally. You have
Right.
to look at maybe like a hard money loan or something like that,
Mhm.
which the interest rate spikes way up.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So which one is the best idea? The best one is to buy not in the mobile home park, or how does that work?
Yeah, like Bernadette said, you don't go to the mobile home park, especially because they're charging like $600 in lot fees.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're going to get you anyway. So you might as well get away from that and look at something that's attached, like she said, to the property with a foundation. Because that $600 in a payment, your purchase price goes way up. So it's
Right.
better to go that route.
A lot of my clients that consider manufactured homes, I always try to steer them to a townhome or a condominium.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
It
so
seems to
that's
be the next most affordable option. I believe so, anyways.
Would you agree? Same thing, townhome, condominium, Rich?
Absolutely. Yeah, she's on point.
Right.
okay. So we got another question. Felicia Banks. She said, I was a first time home buyer that bought in August of 2021, but now I want to buy another home simply to rent. What do I need to do in order to qualify for another home with no additional income?
Okay. So she's to wait from her. So she's living somewhere currently.
Mm-hmm.
She's bought currently, right?
Bought a house in 2020, August of 2021.
And she wants to buy an investment property, stay where she's at, but buy another property and have renters in there. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
Right.
that's correct.
So she would want to use what's called our DSCR program. We don't look at any of your income. I told you guys about this when we did the brief overview. We don't look
Yeah.
at your income. All we care about is we send an appraiser out there. If they come back with the rent schedule and say, hey, here's what you can expect in rent, if that covers your mortgage payment, you're approved. Done.
Cool.
That's
Solid.
an awesome program. Call us both if you need the information.
There you go. There you go. And for the record, Felicia, where are you located? If we could get her location up there so that we can know for them to reach out just to make sure. Because does the programs, Rich, do they change from state to state to state, or is it just that's how it is, cutthroat, no matter where you are?
I can do loans in any state except New York. I am not licensed to do business in New York.
Okay.
It's a pain in the rear to get approved there. So
She's
in Chesapeake, Virginia. So
okay.
Okay.
Awesome. See, there you go, guys. These questions are coming in. People are asking these really good questions, and we got two great people on here to be able to give you guys the help you need.
But we got to get this one answered because this is from our buddy here on the show, our third partner, Patricia Bynum. Would you say it's best for the home buyer who gets the lower rate to go ahead and get the home and rent it out versus moving into it?
When she says lower approval, does she mean the lower purchase price? Like that? Is that what she's talking about?
Not sure.
we gotta dissect her question a little bit more, right? We gotta come
I
into
think when
that.
she says lower approval, I think she's saying maybe she's not happy with the purchase amount that she's qualified for.
She said the way you worded it is correct.
So yeah, I mean, it's always smart to have an investment because you can pull out of the investment later and buy your own property once you get enough equity to move to where you want to move to. So yeah, I would suggest to do that. But at the same time, then you're going to be renting still. So maybe buy a townhome in the neighborhood at the lower price that you're approved at or close to that neighborhood and then gain equity and get into the next neighborhood that you want to go into.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because if you're going to buy and invest, I mean, yeah, you're still going to have your own rent. So why pay a rent when you can just pay your own mortgage?
Makes sense.
Another option, if I understand where she's kind of headed, is you can look at 2, 3, or 4 unit properties. We'll lend up to 4 units.
I was just going to ask that because that you can go ahead. You're going into it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you triggered you. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
You occupy the one property, rent out the other 3, and on a 2 unit, you'll probably cover a good chunk of your mortgage payment. But on 4 units, a lot of times what we see when renting out 3 units, you could be cash flow positive. And again, it depends on the property. That's best case scenario, but it's another great option to where if you're like, hey, I just want to start my first home, I want to start making some money on it, look for 2 or 3 unit properties.
And with that money on the other units gets put into your as qualified income, correct?
Yes.
So if I'm looking at a 4 unit, I live in that one, but the other 3 potentially at $2,000 a month for each one. Those go along into your helps you to qualify as income, correct?
That's correct. But we want to make sure that you are claiming that on your taxes. And I know It sucks, right? Sometimes you end up not getting the rebate or having to pay. But if you're looking to use that income to do something in the future, then we need to claim it. If you're like, hey, Rich, I'm going to sit in this property for the next 5 years, then I'd say, okay, cool. Do what you need to do with a tax expert. But when the time comes, you need to let me know 2 years in advance when you need that income, because I'm going to have to show proof of 2 years of you claiming that rental income. And then I can use it to go purchase something. So again, it just comes down to a lot of times people don't think this through. And that's where working with the expert, I can't pound my hands on the desk enough about that, because if you go to these big banks, they don't dive that deep. They don't ask the questions.
Right. You're just a number to them. So they just want to pass you through, correct?
Yep. Some guy in a headset. How you doing? What are you looking for? Okay, here you go. In and out. Boom, done.
Okay, so we got another question, and I think this is something that I had on my list as well, because we had people talking about the different types of real estate, but they were asking, do you all, Rich and Bernadette, do you all deal with commercial properties?
I don't.
I've done a little bit of commercial, not too many. I've done commercial purchases.
Okay. Because I think people need to understand the different types of real estate. When we say real estate, people automatically think about a house in a neighborhood, but there's different types of real estate. You got residential, you got commercial, you got industrial, you got land, mixed use, state owned and special properties. So there's a bunch of different types. So there's somebody who's an expert in whatever type you're looking for. So that's who, as Rich has been pounding into the pavement tonight, find an expert in your area that can help you.
Yeah.
But are they talking about what type of commercial? Commercial residential, like apartment buildings? Or are they talking about shopping centers? Because there's a difference there.
Yeah, probably shopping centers. I would guess probably shopping center or storefront, something like that.
I've worked with that before. It's not really difficult. But again, you need to talk to somebody that's a specialist in your area, because they're going to know the dominatrix for that area. Definitely.
Okay. Awesome. Yo, I just want to say again, this is amazing. Just want you guys to know this. Like, this is really amazing. I think we're giving out some really great information here at this.
We got to get interview. We got to get to the big
we got to get to the big one. Okay, have we got all the questions out the way there, Ken? We good?
Yeah, we're caught up on with questions.
Okay, so guys, let's jump into this B of A program. We've heard.
Hold on, Benji. So you gonna leave it at Bill? Are you trying to avoid saying the name? Because some people might not know exactly what you're talking about. So if you're trying to avoid America, I get it.
We got to keep our acronyms. Let's talk about this Bank of America program. Now, just for everyone out there, there is limited information on this that's out. I think the program, as it gets further and further, more information will come out. But what we're going to talk about, what we know, what you guys know from it, from your knowledge standpoint, and then we'll go into it from there. So one of the first things I read about it was no money down. What was the other thing? I believe, let's see, gosh, we'll just start there. I'm forgetting. No closing cost.
So
go ahead.
Sorry. So when I called today, because I did call representative, because I was not getting any answers. So I got on the phone this morning at 6:00 and I got somebody on the phone. So they're covering closing costs, but not all your closing costs, excuse me. They're covering only non-reoccurring. So let me just talk in a consumer's point of view. So they're not going to cover your taxes, the property taxes that are going to be forecast for the duration of the year. They're not going to cover that.
Okay.
They're not going to cover any insurance fees or title fees. And if you're buying a townhome or a condominium, they're not going to cover any transfer fees. So even though they say it's zero down, you still should have at least $10,000.
Okay.
$5,000 to cover the things that I just said that you probably need to cover on your own. Plus, you're going to have to put a deposit on your home. One thing I can tell you is any seller is not going to take an offer from a client that has no money put down on their offer as a deposit. So anything that says 0% financing, you're still going to have at least $10,000 in your pocket. to close
Yes.
the loan. Definitely.
Makes sense. So we could cut through some of the red tape. We got to understand this is still the real estate industry, and there is money to be made. So when you hear the term zero, always look into the
Yeah.
finer details, because you got to remember this is the business of making money ultimately, and there's always a cost somewhere in there. Rich, did you check into any of the semantics on this program? I know we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, Bernadette with the extra mile and actually called them. I didn't do that, but that was great information. I actually didn't know that because yeah, there's very limited information online. Like I couldn't even tell you what the rate is. I'd be curious to see what interest
Right.
rates they're charging for it. But I can tell you they're doing this because there is an affordability crisis in real estate, and they are focusing on Black and Hispanic areas. Now, it's not just for those races. If you are in that area, it doesn't matter what race you are, you can qualify to get this loan. So, I mean, listen, if like what they're saying is true, and if it's $5,000 to get in or 5 to 10 grand to get in, that's great. But again, I would still maybe get once it's out and ready to available to the consumers, get a quote, bring that to your local expert or bring it to me. I'll look at it and I'll give you the God's honest truth. I'll tell you
Right.
like, hey, that deal, take it.
Get a
And
second opinion,
Oh,
so to speak.
definitely.
Because
absolutely.
remember, you can go get a pre-approval, pre-qualified with them, but you don't necessarily have to use that loan. Or you can go to someone else and say, hey, this is what I've been approved for through the B of A Bank of America program. What do you think about this? Agreed, right?
Yeah.
Agreed. And they say like no income. I guarantee you, B of A is somehow going to look into whether how you're paying rent. They're going to know you can qualify for it. They're not going to, if you make 2 grand a month, they're not going to put you in a mortgage payment that's 2 grand a month.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they are. I guarantee you, there behind the scenes there are some qualifying factors behind it. But again, if they're more lenient with those qualifying factors, I guess as human to human, I don't want to see anybody get into a position where they're in the home and then they get foreclosed on.
Yeah.
That's the last thing you want because,
Yeah.
Right.
again, I hate to see it. And with creating a budget, you can make that payment and you're not going to get foreclosed on. You'll be able to obtain what you've earned through the appreciation of the home instead of the bank taking it all.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking that zero down rates are high. I mean, wouldn't your interest rate be high to a degree? If you're, because it's for generally for low income people. Am I
It's
correct or not
not.
correct?
I called today. Well, I mean, I guess it just depends on what you consider low income. So
Okay.
per family, I guess I would say the loan limit is actually 127,000. So
Okay.
it's not very, very low. I thought it was going to be super, super low. It's not. So you can make up to 120,476 per all
Wow.
applicants per. So it's not. And
Wow. That's good information right there.
yeah, and also I did think it was going to be to certain zip codes, and it's not. The woman that I spoke to today says it's for all of LA County.
Oh,
So
because
that's a big
I I
game changer right
I
there.
thought it was only for specific areas. So if I'm not mistaken, I think a friend of mine told me that it wasn't. You couldn't use it for San Bernardino County or things of that nature.
Only Los Angeles County right now.
Okay, there you go.
You
Okay.
have to stay in LA, but it's not confined to any particular zip codes. It's the whole countywide, which is great.
Now, now that brings up another question. So because if you were approved for $300,000 in LA County, we already know
Not by any
not happening, right? But because you said that the income requirements per person is 100 and something thousand dollars, so that kind of
No, if there's
opens it.
3 people on one application, that has to be the height of the income is 120. There's
Okay,
one person 120, 2 people 120, 3 120, no matter what, 120 is the income limit.
okay, and that makes a huge difference because you're able to kind of expand what you can get qualified for. Correct?
Well, yeah, it just depends on the end of the day. Just because they're saying you can make up to 120,000, it's going to go based on what you're bringing in per year, anyhow.
Right.
So even at 120,000, I mean, you could probably get approved for maybe 6. And the
Right.
highest loan limit is with them right now is 647,200. So if you make the 120, you're probably going to come almost close to that amount anyhow, especially because it's 100% financing.
Wow, 100% financing. So some of the details again as it opens up and becomes more and more understanding to the average person. I think they'll get a better understanding of what they're able to work with. A friend of mine told me that a couple of their friends only got $350,000 approval,
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't sure where they would be able to buy with that amount. So that was in question. So
Well, if they're in Los Angeles at 350, probably in the Inland Empire
in,
or maybe out towards the valley.
right,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where you get your now again. Remember, you can go check that loan out, get your pre-approval, pre-qualified, and then still go and show the documents and show everything to someone else. You don't necessarily have to use that program, but use it as a springboard. Rich, would you recommend that as well or no?
Yeah, of course. I mean, everything's worth exploring. Yeah, if you're interested in that program, yeah, give BFA a call and see what you know. I would ask them for a loan estimate. And what a loan estimate is, it will break down all of the fees, will show your rate, any cash to close, your payment. I would ask for those things in writing so we can, as experts, can break down. There's 3 pages. We want to look at the first page and the second page. The second page is going to have all of your closing costs. And that's where I would really dive into to see, make sure you're not paying a bunch of points that they're taking away. So there's just, I can go on and on about what we can look at just to make sure you are being taken care of and this isn't some bad situation for someone.
Yeah, because when it's too good to be true, there's going to be something somewhere that's going to make
Right.
it good for the bank and maybe bad for the consumer. But
That's
if
the
you
that's the
want to be
quick that's the whole balance of it all, right? There's something in there, but again, that we're safe to say they're in the business of making money, so nothing's free. I think when everyone heard the program, they instantly thought free, so to speak, and I think that's where the uproar came in at because it's like, and I'm bro, ain't nothing free out here.
I
Nothing's
think,
free out here. You're gonna have to come out of some money somewhere.
yeah, that could have been the misconception of the $10,000 to $15,000 grant that they're offering just as well.
Right.
So if you do get that grant, you will be 1099 on it. So it is not free.
And that 1099, you got to claim that on your tax, and talk to us about that process to kind of give people a better understanding of that.
Well, I mean, if you're self-employed, you get a 1099, or if you do a side job, you get 1099. So the same thing. If you get a loan right now, you get that $15,000 to $10,000 extra. In January, February, you're going to get a 1099 for the amount that they granted you,
Right.
and then you claim it on your taxes and you pay taxes on it. So,
Right.
yeah, it's just it's
Got gotta pay that property tax too, because you.
Oh, well, yeah, that'll be rolled into your loan, or it should be anyhow. But I mean, it's not a bad program. It's not a good program. It just depends on if it fits you. If
Right.
it's fit for you, then great. But like he said, you should shop around, because what if you have a 580 and they're offering you a 10%? And what if it takes me 6-7 months to bring you to a 680 or a 700?
Right.
And then I can give you a 5%. I think it's
Right.
probably worth those 6 months of sitting and getting your stuff in line, because that's a big difference in your rate from 10%
Exactly.
to 10%.
That's hundreds of thousands of dollars on
God.
the your rates on your loan, from a 10% at 580 credit score, and then even Rich mentioned they get you with the credit repair people and get your score up. And of course, is this the thought also, because once you get the home and you make your payments on time, your credit score is going to go up, correct? Right?
It is going to go up, but the question is are they going to have a certain type of refinance that you can do? Is it going to
Right.
only be with them, or can you refinance with anybody else? I don't even think that they really know that part yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, more details are going to have to come out. So it's definitely going to be one of those things where we'll continue to kind of check into it and research and kind of jump the information. And the 5 Session podcast, we're going to stay on it because we want to give y'all the best information that we got out there. What we say, Ken? We put the medicine in the candy.
Medicine in the candy. We're always going to give you something sweet and entertaining, but we're going to put a little something in there to take with you so you'll have some valuable information moving forward.
Right.
Gotta have it. Gotta have it. Gotta have it. And so overall synopsis, guys, just from what you know about the program thus far, what would you say? Yay, nay, if a client asked you about it, should they check it out? What would you say?
Rich, you want to go first?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, absolutely. Check it out. See what they have to offer, but allow me the opportunity to look at it. Because again, they're not going to dive into your goals and where you want to be. They're just going to say, here's the program. And they're giving this program out because they're predicting home appreciation games, and they're hoping people are motivated to keep making their payment because they're seeing that happen. But again, I would just some advice. I would take it to your local loan officer or someone that you trust. Review it, because someone like me, if I can look at it and say, there's no way I can come close to touching this deal, this is great, I'm going to tell you that. I'll be straightforward and honest.
Right.
The only thing I will caveat with that is, if it's blowing me out of the water, fine. But if I'm close, I can guarantee you're going to have a much less stressful home buying process if you go through me. And again, sometimes it's worth paying $1,000, $2,000 more to have that peace of mind, knowing I'm not going to get 3 weeks into my 4 weeks close of escrow date.
Right.
Now I'm supposed to move in 3 days, and now they're calling me and telling me there's a problem, I'm not approved. That doesn't happen. That doesn't fly when you work with someone like myself or Bernadette. We actually care, and we're going to make sure it's a smooth and easy process when buying a home.
Hey, makes sense. Bernadette, same question. What you think?
I think he pretty much said it all. But on the realtor side, if this program works for you, I'll work with you just as well too. So it just depends on where the shoe fits, to be honest.
Awesome. Now, Rich, you mentioned home appreciate. Go ahead, Ken. Go ahead.
Yeah, one more question. Somebody was asking, okay, Serious Focus was asking, can a person qualify for that program if they already own a home already?
It's a first-time buyers program.
First time, yeah.
First time buyers.
Yes. Now, Rich, you mentioned the program because it's a possibility that they're seeing home appreciation in 2023. Talk to us a little bit about that, because that's strategic, so to speak, right? And these banks, they stay on top of all of these programs. Talk to us a little bit about that home appreciation aspect.
Yeah, so amongst the common men and women, we're like, how are they justifying this? Where's the money coming from? What's their thought process? And the best we can attain is, well, they only feel comfortable throwing a bunch of this money out because they are predicting home appreciation. And whenever the home appreciates, you don't want to get foreclosed on because they take things. The one that's been paying the mortgage, if you start to fall behind 30, 60, 90 days, they'll start the foreclosure process and they'll take that away. You won't get it. So I think their mindset is, well, once they see their home equity rise, they're going to make damn sure they can make their mortgage payment.
More money off.
I believe that's their thought process.
Right, and I think that matters also. What would you say? Because what would you say to a person with a counter argument that says, well, they're doing this because they know that there's a desperation there. People are going to want to jump in. They're going to get it, but then they know it's going to crash. What would you say to that aspect? Because there's always a flip side with everything, right? Someone who may be scared of this program and think, you know what, nah, it's not legit. I don't like it, whatever. And they have that thought process. What would you say to them on that?
Yeah, I'd say that it's completely reasonable to think that. But let me tell you why that's not the case. Is the bank makes their money off the interest.
Yeah.
Right.
So they want you to pay that mortgage over the next 5-10 years because that's how they make their money. So again, if they were predicting a crash, they wouldn't be doing this.
No way.
Right. Makes sense. Bernadette, you agree with the same thing there? How would you approach a client who kind of going through that same process and that's their thought process?
The scaredness of it, or they're with the program? Which way? I think that it's a good program if you need to use it. Like I said, I just kind of think that, like he said, because they forecast the appreciation, that maybe there's going to be some fine print that when your house appreciates and your FICO score gets to where it needs to get, that you might have to do a refinance with them again. Then they're going to make more money off of you again.
Awesome.
So I think that there's going to be something in the fine print that's going to make you stick with them through the duration of the loan, or refinance with them whenever the equity is gained or your FICO score goes up.
All right, man. I you know what? Gosh, I love it.
Caveat to what she's saying. As a procurement expert and as a procurement manager, that's what I do for a living. Please read the fine print on contracts, because I do contracts every day, and you don't understand how many times I hear, "Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, I didn't read that, or I didn't understand it." If you have some documentation, if you have a contract or anything that you have and you don't understand, as Rich has been saying throughout the show, find somebody who does know. Find an expert. Find somebody who can help you. Find somebody who can assist you. It's valuable, and it can save you a lot of heartache and headache and money at the end of the day. So do your homework and get some help if you definitely need it.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Listen, I think this was an amazing show, and I think you guys gave us some really, really, really great information. This was awesome. I enjoyed it. I know we all enjoyed it. We're going to wrap up in a little bit soon, but we want to take the time just for a moment to give Richie and Bernadette some closing remarks and let us know where we can find you. Bernadette, we'll start with you.
Well, you can find me here. Just kidding. You can find me on my Instagram. You can find me on my personal website through my company. There's a few different places that you can find me. I don't know if there's a way for anybody that's following the show, if there's a way that they can drop comments and we can connect with them like that.
Yes.
But I'm in Downey. I don't know. Do I share my web address? It's kind of hard to.
Yeah, you can check your web address or your IG name. And
my IG name is pretty simple. You can find me at Bernadette.missmortgage, MISS Mortgage. That's my name on IG. And then if you're looking to find me via my website, you can go through PR Lending, and you can find me there just as well. prlending.com. There you can apply for a loan, and then you can find me there as an agent just as well too.
Awesome. Any closing remarks? Anything you want to leave for the people before we get out of here?
Just remember that the real estate market is the best savings account that you can always have. That's going to give you a turnover every single year, and you can actually go out and touch it. You can go see the house. You can see the condition. You can see what's going on. You can follow the market. You can go up and down. Stocks you can't touch. Your money at the bank you can't touch. Bitcoin you definitely can never touch ever in your life. But real estate, so that's just like it can go anytime, right? But real estate, this house is a cement. This ain't gonna go nowhere. So that's what I say. If you're gonna invest in yourself, invest in the real estate market. Watch your wealth grow literally in front of your eyes.
Awesome. Love it.
Yes.
I'm rich. All right. My man Rich, go ahead and talk to us for a little bit, sir. Tell us where we can find you, all of that good stuff. Of course, we know you're getting out of Dodge real soon, so let us know where we can find you and give us some closing remarks.
Yeah, absolutely. So my closing remarks would just be, I hope somebody out there found this useful and helpful, because I mean, if we could just help one person, that made our time here very valuable. And I thank you guys for inviting me on, and hopefully we can do this again, because the market's constantly changing. I guarantee you next week I could have another hour of stuff to talk to you about. So it was a pleasure. But the best way is my cell phone or my website. My website's sorensenloans.com. That's SORENSENLOANS.com. Or my cell phone, it's on that website. It's 951-383-5350. That's the best. It's just direct to me. A lot of my social media, it's not monitoring it as much as I should. I'll get back to you eventually, but if you want an immediate response, that's the way to do it.
Awesome.
Cool.
Hey, yo, Ken, another dope show, man. Talk to us, man. Let everybody know what's going on, what you think about the show tonight.
Well, I think it's invaluable information, man. I mean, you can't put a price on it, you know what I'm saying? Because it's so many different moving parts to it. And there's so much information that we gave tonight that can make a lot of people a lot of money. As I said at the beginning of the show, I'm very interested in it because I've been presented with a couple of opportunities to invest in some things. And I also have some land that I've attained through my family. So just getting the knowledge of, you know, what the possibilities may be or could be with the land that we do have. And, you know, quite honestly, you know, like Brandon said, I'm one of those people. I'm invested in loans. I'm invested in you know, stocks and bonds, and I have cryptocurrency. I have Bitcoin.
Sorry.
So no. I completely get it. I mean, what you're saying is 100% true because you want something that's tangible. You want something that's going to actually be there, something that you can see, something that you can, you know, actually follow closely. And you're absolutely right. A home or real estate is something that you can invest in, and you can have more of a say so in what's going on with it. So it's definitely worthwhile, and I'm definitely looking forward to, you know, getting involved more heavily in the real estate. And yeah, because once I read Warren Buffett's book, I'm like, okay, so that's how you made your money.
Right.
So when we talk about people with money, like Richie said earlier, you know, a lot of those people got their fortunes from real estate. So I'm trying to be added to that list of people.
Right.
So
Hey, make it happen. And again, me, man, listen, you know where to find me. IGBRB4701. You can find me on Facebook, Benji Banks. Go to the Fire Session podcast. Go to the YouTube page. Like, subscribe, comment. The followers are going up. The views are going up. The people are coming in. And we're just trying to give you guys the best content that we can give you. We didn't want to come on and talk about folks dying and folks being killed and all of that type of stuff. We wanted to give you guys something that was a little bit more pertinent that you can use and that you can get yourself out of those situations and be better, right? So that's what we're doing tonight. And I thank Richie, I thank Bernadette for coming on the Fire Session podcast. And I know for sure that you guys represented well, and we definitely will have you guys back. So again, thank y'all for tuning in. It's the Fire Session. Have a good one.
thank you for tuning in to the Fire Session. Follow us on all social media platforms. Just search Fire Session.